You a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds, and welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news from Arkham Asylum to Batu and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson, your co-host, and with me as always is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
Oh, nothing much as always, Mike. Just another week of holy crap, there's a lot going on in nerd news. So, might as well dive in.
Again, I feel like it was a lot that we're going to talk about, but again, no like monumental disruptive announcements or anything like that necessarily. We got some...
There may be a spoiler that's coming up later that might be a bit monumental, but
that's a good point that we should bring up right now. This past Friday was the release date of Venom 2, Venom Let There Be Carnage. Neither Steve or I have seen this movie, but we have read at least one spoiler for it that we are going to talk about. So we will let you know. Steve, I actually had an idea for this.
Oh boy.
When we talk about that Venom spoiler, I'm going to set an alarm on my phone for like an agreed upon like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. So we can tell the people listening, skip ahead 5 minutes.
Yep.
So when my alarm goes off, we need to stop talking about it, which might be hard for us to do considering what we know about this spoiler.
Fair enough.
Anyway, so that's coming up later in the show. We also got some other Marvel stuff we're going to talk about, and obviously some comic book stuff. But we're going to kick it off with a quote from Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright, great actor who's involved in a number of genre or nerdy related things.
It's about What If, right?
Yeah, no, it's not about What If.
Oh, okay.
It's not about What If. It's not about Westworld. It's not about him voicing Batman in the HBO Max Batman Adventures podcast. It is about something Batman related. Jeffrey Wright's next big role will be playing Jim Gordon, Commissioner Gordon, in the Matt Reeves The Batman films coming out next year. As is the case when a traditionally white character is cast as somebody who is not white, a lot of racists online get really mad about it. This is something that you and I have touched on a number of times in this podcast, in this show, and just in life also, conversations that we have. So anyway, Jeffrey Wright spoke to an outlet about playing a black version of James Gordon in the upcoming Batman movie. And it's a pretty lengthy quote, but I left most of it in there because I think it's worth saying, it's worth hearing, and it's worth us talking about in depth. So I'm going to read this quote from Jeffrey Wright talking about playing Commissioner Gordon as a black man. He says, "Batman and the characters within Gotham City are fluid, evolving creatures. It would be doing a disservice to these stories and to the history if we were actually beholden to the details of the original. When William Shakespeare wrote female characters, they were written to be played by young boys." Good comparison as to why, or example, I should say, of, things changing and evolving with the times, obviously. He goes on to say, "Gordon is many things. He's relative to Gotham City, to the Gotham City Police Department, to Batman, to justice, and to corruption. None of those things require that he be white. In its first iteration in 1939, Gotham City was fashioned after an American metropolis. In 1939, New York was 90% white. The power structure in law enforcement in that city at that time would not have been inclusive of someone who looked like me. That's just a historical fact. As these stories have continually evolved over these many decades, not only through the comics, but also through the films, they've been reinterpreted to be more contemporary to the times that they were made. To think of Gotham as a place that's only inhabited by white people is to be pretty idiotic. To be beholden to that demographic reality of 1939 as urban America, what the fuck is the purpose of that?" And I think this is a great point that he's making, and it brings up, it touches on a number of things that I passionately believe about comics and nerddom and fandom and adaptations of comic books in general. And, things that we've talked about in the past. Of course, there are certain characters where their race or their ethnicity is built into the character, and it is a part of how they are defined. Clearly, Black Panther is not going to be played by anyone other than a black person. Could not be portrayed by a white character because it's built into the DNA of that character. Same as like Storm from the X-Men. Like she's born and raised in Africa. She's got to be portrayed by a black woman.
Shang-Chi, similar.
Shang-Chi, exactly. Peter Parker, or I should say Spider-Man, not necessarily the case. The argument was made years ago by Mark Bernardin, a writer for the LA Times, who's also a successful podcaster and writer. He wrote an article called "Why Does Peter Parker Have to Be White?" And that led to a whole fan uprising about like, hey, cast Donald Glover as the next Peter Parker in the next Spider-Man movie. And there was a big thing. And that led to Brian Michael Bendis reading this article and creating the character of Miles Morales, because it's true. There's no reason for Peter Parker to be white. He lives in Queens. He just has an aunt. He tries to do the right thing. That's, everyone. That can be any race can have those qualities. So what Jeffrey Wright is talking about here is that also, I mean, we've also heard more recently, you and I have talked about the Michael B. Jordan Superman thing that's in development for HBO Max, and the opinion on that, his rumored opinion on that was that to just make Clark Kent black when there are other black versions of Superman that already exist does a disservice to those versions of the character, and that's also a valid viewpoint. Right,
and that's similar to the Spider-Man argument as well. Like now, at the time when that original article was written, it was a whole different ball game because it was Peter Parker, and I don't know, Ben Reilly might have been around at that time, but still,
for sure,
same thing. Because that would have been before or after the Clone Saga and that whole mess. We don't really need to get into that because that's a mess. But that dichotomy between Ta-Nehisi Coates doing his thing with Superman as well as Michael B. Jordan and his take on it at the time is very, very similar to this. I mean, look at the Batman '89 series that just came out, and I mean the source material as well. But Two-Face, Harvey Dent, was black in that. Yeah. So like, what's like? There's no difference. Like, Jim Gordon can be whoever Jim Gordon is. Whoever they want to cast as Jim Gordon, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I agree. There's no reason that he shouldn't be whatever, like he says in this, like his Jim Gordon's race doesn't matter to the character of Jim Gordon at all.
No, absolutely not.
And I think, I mean, we see him in the trailer that we got last year, and he looks great. He still has like a mustache and everything, like still looks like Jim Gordon to me, glasses and everything. I was like, wow, he looks great. He looks like Jim Gordon.
Jeffrey Wright's gonna kill it in this.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know, just to zoom out a little bit, I feel like there's a lot of like fanboys that get mad about things like this, but also just like more minutia, less meaningful things, even where like, well, the costume is different, or they don't quite look the same, even if they are the same race, like they don't really look the part or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know. I think anyone that gets really upset about a minute or meaningless change to how a character is portrayed is not someone that reads comic books. I feel like you can't. It's impossible, because like if you go into a comic book store, there are minimal 5 different versions of Batman on the shelf at the same time, and one is in an alternate universe, and these two technically are in the same modern canon, but in this one he's over here doing this, and this one he's over here doing this, and maybe his in this one he's got a yellow circle around the bat, and this one it's just the black bat on the gray chest, and this one it's black and the whole suit is black, and this one it's based on the '89 Batman movie, and this one is like
I just finished '89, and at the end there's the ad for Heavy Metal Batman. Like, what?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Batman Heavy Metal or Batman Dark Metal. Like, there's so many different versions of all these characters, and you're gonna get real mad that this one version of Jim Gordon is black. Then go read 80 years worth of comic books where he's white. Who cares? It's not like, or you're gonna get mad that like, oh, the ears on the Pattinson bat cowl are like back farther on the head, and it's not as cool as the Ben Affleck. Like, well, then watch this Snyder movies again. Like, watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, and you get to see that thing. Like, no one's getting rid of the other thing that you love. That thing is still there, and most likely already exists in a million different varieties and forms of that thing anyway that you weren't even looking at. Like even Jim Gordon, like the version that he is in the comic books, sometimes he's written as like an old white-haired guy, sometimes he's aged down and has like red hair. And you know, to this version, to Gary Oldman's version and the Christopher Nolan trilogy, to the hilarious animated version of him in the Harley Quinn show when he's just this like completely burnt out going crazy guy because being the police commissioner of a city like Gotham City would drive you crazy.
It may do that to you. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so many different versions, and I don't know. I think he's right on the money, and I don't know. It's great to hear him like address it.
Oh, absolutely.
So specifically and directly, I think.
And we're both huge fans of Star Wars, which is possibly the dumbest fandom when it comes to stuff like this too.
Oh yeah.
So it comes as no surprise. Like, think of when Force Awakens dropped, and after a couple weeks when people realized that, oh my God, the main protagonist is female. What?
Yeah.
What? How did that happen?
And the other main protagonist is black.
What?
Yeah.
And then you also have Oscar Isaac in there? Like, what?
Yeah, I know.
What's going on? There's no white dude that's just
God.
like, what? Like, it boggles my mind when people can look at something like that. And Star Wars, you have an entire galaxy of people.
Yeah, I know.
It's not just going to be random white farm boy.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Gotham,
don't understand people that
same
think
deal.
that I don't understand I don't understand the people that think that everyone in Star Wars needs to be white and a male when it's literally but if you're an alien, it's okay. You can look as crazy as you want if you're some weird either a robot or something with tentacles or a Wookiee or something, like who cares? But like all the human characters need to be white and mostly male. You get one black guy and one woman. That's all you get.
You get Billy D. Williams, and that's it.
And you get Carrie Fisher, and that's it. Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. And it's just, it's not true to life. And obviously, I feel like within the last, I don't know, even the last 10 years, there's been like a bunch of, progress in this field. But I don't know. I hope they just keep doing it so it gets idiots to shut up about it and just accept that that it doesn't matter.
That it's,
what? I shouldn't say
reality.
Yeah, it is life and reality, and I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. It does matter because we all know that representation matters. When Black Panther makes $1 billion at the box office, little kids get to seeing a version of themselves, finally getting to see a version of themselves as a superhero in a big budget Marvel movie, like, that made a difference in a lot of kids' lives.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I just thought this quote was really great and important, and honestly, anytime anybody mentions anything about the upcoming Batman movie, I want to talk about it.
Yeah, you're just going to get excited about it. There's no two ways about that.
And I mean, it's also because we haven't had a lot of DC news lately, and
true.
We know that's probably because in 2 weeks we're getting DC Fandom. They're saving all their big news for their convention that's going to happen in a couple weeks.
So are we going to have to have a 2-hour episode that day?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on everything that we find out. Maybe might have to be a 2-parter. Maybe we do a Sunday and a Monday.
I was going to say, in all honesty, it may be something where I don't know what day they're doing Fandom, but like it may be something where we do a quick podcast that night too. Just throw something out.
Yeah, I want to say it's the Saturday the 16th, I think.
Okay, so it's
and it'll
Saturday.
Be like if it was last year, it'll be noon on Saturday to noon on Sunday, and it'll be 24 hours of stuff. Like there'll be a certain number of panels that will air at certain times, and when they run out, they'll start again. So if you miss it at noon, you can watch it again at midnight or something, like that kind of thing.
That should be good then.
So
that'll line up perfectly for us to talk way too long about it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I wanted to touch on that, but moving away from DC, as we're talking about, we'll be back to DC in a big way in a couple weeks. No doubt. Honestly, I feel like Disney and other companies will be best to hold off their announcements because everything that DC's got, we're going to get the Batman stuff, we're going to get Black Adam stuff, we're going to get Flash stuff. Like, there's going to be so much. I feel like, Marvel and Star Wars should probably take a weekend off. If they're smart, they'll just get drowned out unless they have something major. Luke Skywalker show for Disney Plus or something, that obviously would be good.
Yeah, that would probably win. But we do have Disney Plus shows we need to talk about.
We do, and that's me just manifesting that Disney Plus show for young Luke Skywalker. And speaking of manifesting, Yeah. Speaking of manifesting, we got a casting rumor today for the Star Wars Ahsoka Disney Plus series, and that rumor is that Mena Massoud is rumored to be playing Ezra Bridger in the Ahsoka series. Mena Massoud played Aladdin in the live-action Aladdin remake, and months ago he posted something on his Instagram account. It was like him kind of stylized. I can't remember if it was a photograph or if it was a drawing of him kind of stylized to look like Ezra.
Yep.
And this past week, he was asked about that in an interview, and he claimed that he was only manifesting the job, as I am manifesting a young Luke Skywalker show for Disney Plus. Okay, we also got a rumor in that same report. It was rumored that Lars Mikkelson is rumored to be playing Grand Admiral Thrawn, a character that he voiced in Star Wars Rebels.
Yep.
And I always think that's cool when they are able to cast the voice actor like they did with Bo-Katan, Katie Sackhoff. Like, that's so cool because then they still look and sound like the character, and they're in live action. They have the same voice. Bummer that they couldn't do it with Ahsoka, but they did pretty good casting with that as well. So
yeah, Dawson is a pretty solid. Like, Ashley Eckstein would have been good, but Dawson is also good. So
yeah, for sure, solid choice. So Steve, what do you think? Mena Massoud as Ezra Bridger. Do you think there's credence to this rumor? Do you think he was just manifesting? Do you think he knew something? Obviously, I feel like we know that they do these shows, they cast these shows, they know where they're going seemingly so far in advance that he would know by now. He's either he's not Ezra, or he is denying that he's Ezra by saying he was only manifesting it. What do you think? Do you think that this is, how likely do you think this is?
I mean, I think it would be a solid choice for all the various issues, with the whole Aladdin thing. He was solid in that. He was, I think he was in Jack Ryan, the Amazon Prime show.
Oh, okay.
I
didn't know that.
Based off the Tom Clancy stuff.
Yeah.
If he wants the job, okay, cool. Like, he seems like a decent casting choice. He's got a track record. Like, he's worked with the mouse before, so that always helps.
Yeah.
It seems like it might have legs. The question is whether the fact that he said or did that would preclude him from getting the job, because that's also happened in the past as well, where someone spouts something off and then they kind of get blacklisted because that'd be too obvious now, and they want to keep it under wraps.
Did you read the thing about Lucy Lawless?
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
Lucy Lawless, Xena Warrior Princess fame, said this week that apparently, I didn't even realize this, that when Disney Plus fired Gina Carano from Mandalorian, there was a fan, not necessarily a formal petition, but
just a fan casting type thing,
yeah, to get her to replace Gina Carano as that character on Mandalorian. And she said she had already been talking to Disney about a Star Wars thing, and that it got dropped, or she got dropped from that project, because it would have looked like because Disney thought it would have looked like that they were caving to fan pressure to use this actress.
Right. Even on a completely independent property.
Even on a different, something that wasn't Mandalorian, but was still Star Wars related. Yeah. I would love to see her in a Star Wars thing. I think she's great. Oh, yeah. She's great as Xena. She was great in Ash vs. Evil Dead. I don't know if you ever watched. I know you're Evil Dead guy, but oh man, you gotta watch that show.
Okay, I definitely needed that then. I'll put it in the pantheon of 8 million things I need to watch.
Yeah, but also, it's spooky season. It's October.
It is true.
You got to get into some horror stuff. Anyway, that's a bummer that she got, taken out of the running for whatever project she was talking about. Because that would have been great. But hopefully, I think he would be. I've never actually seen him in anything. Mena Massoud. I've never seen him in anything, but I've seen interviews with him a number of times. He seems like a really nice guy. He seems like he knows what he's doing, knows his craft. Even if he is manifesting this, he seems to be like a fan. Who wouldn't want to be in Star Wars, really?
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone's seen Rebels, who wouldn't want to be Ezra Bridger?
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen a picture of Lars Mikkelson, but I'm behind. Like I just said, I'm behind. If you're getting a voice actor to play the live action, I'm behind that 100%.
If you know his brother, he looks similar to his brother.
They are related. Okay, I didn't look it up, but yeah.
Mads is his brother.
Oh, then I don't need to even look at them. If they look like related at all, then it would be perfect.
High cheekbones, decently sharp face, like very Thrawn-esque. Which
blue skin.
Yeah, he already has the blue skin. It's fine. He's a chiss, red eyes. It's good. But no, if he's going to play the live action version of Grand Admiral Thrawn, wow, that's hard. It's going to be a solid option. Like Thrawn to me has been, for years, one of the Paramount, the cornerstone characters in Star Wars. I know he has recently gotten a little more airtime with Rebels and with a couple other properties. Now has 2 new trilogies, but the Thrawn trilogy was what immediately, like, what brought me into Star Wars and brought me back to Star Wars. So he's always got a place in my heart. The fact that we are going to see, or likely will see, a Grand Admiral Thrawn in the flesh will be absolutely huge. And the way this Ahsoka series is being set up, I think that's the only way we can go. It's probably a good direction for anything to go live action. But overall, it's I think going to be a solid successor to Rebels, and should be a good situation to be in for Mikkelson. You missed a giant rant on Thrawn and where he is as a character and how he sits in my fandom. So,
well, that's good.
It worked out. In all honesty, if you were gonna freeze, it was a perfect time because we were on something I knew. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I soliloquied on that.
Like different in my.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you're still coming through good.
Sound different to me. So okay. So apparently I have to set up somewhere else in my house because I don't know. It's 2 weeks in a row that I've had to completely restart. Not great. Very frustrating, and I apologize to anybody watching or listening. Well, I guess not apologizing if Steve covered it. Apologizing for me right now talking way too much about it. Also in Star Wars, we got the release date for the Book of Boba Fett, December 29th. We knew this was coming in December, right? We knew it was going to be before the end of the year. Now we got an actual date.
Lo and behold, it is literally just before the end of the year.
Yeah. They're probably like, how much time can you possibly give us to work on this show? Like, we need every second that we can. I'm kind of bummed that I can't watch it like over the Christmas holiday, because there was like 3 years in a row there where there was a Star Wars movie that came out Christmas time every year, from Force Awakens, Rogue One, and Last Jedi. And they screwed it all up and moved everything to like May and summer, and it was not great, and they should have kept it in December, because I really liked intertwining my joyous holiday season with a Star Wars movie. Like, I just loved it.
I still stand by the fact that they ruined Solo by releasing it when they did.
100%, dude.
In all honesty, I loved the movie. It was just a fun movie. But the fact that it came 5 months after Last Jedi and directly, like, literally in between Deadpool and, was it Endgame or Infinity War? And it's like, you shoved this movie in there? Like, what are you doing?
Like, I can't remember if it was like 2 weeks before or 2 weeks or after like Endgame or something. I was like, what are you doing, man? And they didn't even start like promoting it for like until like 2 months before it came out. Like, yo, you replaced the directors over like when they were like 45% of the way done filming the movie, or more than that. I think Ron Howard shot 80% of the movie or something.
Like that, yeah.
Like, yo, give the guy some time to finish it and make a movie. Like, I agree that, like, I like that movie. I think it's fine. I think it's good. It's fun. I should probably rewatch it. I haven't rewatched it in a long time. But
I didn't know I wanted a Han Solo movie. I didn't want a Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
And then it came out and I was like, yeah, that was fun.
This is fun.
Yeah.
You know, I think maybe you give him a little bit more time and maybe a little bit more testing audiences and stuff, and some of the clunky dialogue comes out.
Yeah.
And
But what would a
you know,
Star
some of
Wars
the
movie
awkward
be
moments gets
without
rid of.
clunky dialogue?
I don't know, man, but like that scene
Oh wait,
when he's talking
it'd
to
be
Chewbacca,
Rogue One.
it would be Rogue One. That like scene when he's talking to Chewbacca, or like they just like, he's like, "So what's your name?" He's like, "Chewbacca, huh? I'm gonna have to think of something shorter because I'm not saying that every time." Like, do you really have to say
Yeah.
that? Like, that's like, he just could have been like, "Chewbacca, huh? That's a mouthful." And that's the joke. That's the same joke.
Right.
And
Oh,
it,
yeah.
like, it lets the audience do the rest of the work. Like, you don't. Why? It's like,
Yep.
just you not. Ugh. Anyway. Anyway, yeah.
Speaking of things
like
I
that movie very
didn't
much.
know I didn't want, but now I'm excited for, I was never a Boba Fett guy. I never got
me
why
either.
people were obsessed with Boba Fett. He looked
Same.
cool, but that was it.
Yep.
Now
Absolutely
I
the
really
same,
want
buddy.
this show.
Yeah, I know. I never got the fan fervor because he looks cool, but he's there for you know, he's there for a few moments and then he just falls into a Sarlacc pit. So it's like he's not that impressive, not at all. So, but you know, I think they're doing the work to. I think they're finally doing the work to make his character as cool as his fandom, if that makes sense. You know, they're like finally giving Boba Fett fans reason to think that he's that cool.
Yeah.
Which they have not had this entire time, I think.
Outside of the holiday special.
True, outside of the holiday special. I mean, he's cool in Empire Strikes Back, yeah, but he doesn't really do that much.
Yeah, but he rides a dinosaur in the holiday special. Come on.
Yeah, I forgot about that. You're right. We'll have to see. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about holiday specials a little later on in the episode. A little teaser there for you. Speaking of other things that I didn't know I wanted, I didn't know that I wanted Sam Raimi directing another superhero movie, but here we go. We got one. Sam Raimi is directing Doctor Strange 2, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This isn't really a story. It's just kind of like a quote that he gave, because Sam Raimi obviously did the Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst Spider-Man trilogy. Two of those movies are very good. And
then there was the third one.
One of them has mixed reactions. So he gave a quote about just kind of how he got involved with Doctor Strange 2 today, and touched on a couple things. He said, "I didn't know that I could face it again." This is in regards to directing another superhero movie. "I didn't know that I could face it again because it was so awful, having been the director of Spider-Man 3. People disliked that movie, and they sure let me know about it. So it was difficult to take back on. But then I found that there was an opening on Doctor Strange 2, and I thought, I wonder if I could still do it. They're really demanding those types of pictures." I love that he calls them pictures like it's 1930.
Oh, yeah.
They're really demanding those
film
types
them
of
like
pictures.
that.
Yeah, with a crank. Yeah, exactly. And I thought, and I felt, well, that's reason enough. And I've always really liked the character of Doctor Strange. I love the first movie. I thought Scott Derrickson did a wonderful job. So I said, yeah. And I didn't think I would be doing another superhero movie. It just happened. Steve, I don't know that you and I have talked about in depth about Spider-Man 3. Based on our recent conversations about Spider-Man movies and where they might be going, we've talked in depth about No Way Home a lot, especially after we saw that trailer. After we saw that trailer, I decided to rewatch all the Spider-Man movies, and I got through 1, no problem. I got through 2, piece of cake. I got through 3, haven't finished it because it's not great. And I feel like there was a lot of people I saw on Twitter responding to this quote like, "You don't know what you're talking about. Spider-Man 3 is great. Spider-Man 3 is the greatest of all time. Spider-Man 3 is a masterpiece." People on Twitter love to throw around the word masterpiece for just any movie that they remotely like. It's like it's a masterpiece or it's a dumpster fire, and there's no in between. Like, hey guys, some gray areas.
Nuance is completely lost on the internet.
Yeah. 100%.
Now that said, Spider-Man 2 was a masterpiece.
Spider-Man 2 is great. Spider-Man 2 is great. I don't think I said this on this podcast, but I'll say it again. When I was watching Spider-Man 2, my biggest takeaway, I laughed out loud when I realized this. He's gathering... Okay, this Otto Octavius is a guy that has invented sentient robot arms that he controls with his mind. And that's not the reason he has gathered all of Oscorp's investors to his place. That's not what he's showing them. He's showing them a fusion reactor.
Yeah.
But, yo, Oscorp, buy the arms, man. You're making billions on sentient robot arms. You could, like, you're just waving past the sentient robot arms.
Mm-hmm.
What? Like, dude, you're already sitting on a gold mine, Harry. Why? What are you? Yeah, Harry should have been like, whoa, stop. Don't even show me the fusion reactor. Let's put these arms into production. Anyway, it was crazy. But yes, no, Spider-Man 3 was great, for sure. Spider-Man 3, it's not horrible. It's messy, I think. That's the better word for Spider-Man 3 is that it's a mess.
That's a great way to describe it.
There's a lot of great stuff in Spider-Man 3, I think. And all that great... And for those of you who may not know that are listening, Spider-Man 3 has the villain of Sandman. It also has the villain of Venom. It introduces the character of Gwen Stacy. It introduces Harry Osborn as the new Green Goblin. Just a lot going on. And famously, Sam Raimi was pressured by the studio to put Venom into Spider-Man 3. He did not have a plan to put Venom in Spider-Man 3 originally. It was just going to be about Sandman as the main villain, and the studio forced him to put Venom into the film. And honestly, I hadn't seen Spider-Man 3 in a really long time when I started watching it. It is glaringly obvious that Sam Raimi really loves Sandman and doesn't care about Venom at all, because all the Sandman stuff is like really well defined and really well made and really well shot, and all the Venom stuff just seems like it's thrown together. It's kind of making sense, but it's like an afterthought. And the Sandman stuff really works. Like, there's a scene when he's pulling himself up into a person made of sand for the first time. It's unspoken. There's no dialogue. It's all just like computer effects. I think computer effects are a little dated at this point.
Right.
But it's still really good. I don't know. What do you think about Spider-Man 3? That's my takeaway from Spider-Man 3. What do you think?
I didn't realize that messy would be the perfect way to describe it until you just said that.
Yeah.
Like, there's threads of things that could be a decent movie.
Sure.
And when you throw them all together, it just turned into a bit of a muddled mess.
Yeah.
The Topher Grace as Eddie Brock doesn't do much for me, but that's just I don't know if that's Topher Grace in general or this portrayal of Eddie Brock or whatever.
Well, here's my thing. When I'm watching a movie, usually a superhero movie that I think is like a mess or isn't working for some reason for me,
yep.
I play a little game with myself where I try to figure out what changes I would make to make it better. It's it's like Monday morning quarterbacking or whatever, backseat driving, obviously, right. Because I wasn't the one in charge. Wasn't facing studio pressure, but I like to think, like, I do it with, like, I've done it with Batman versus Superman a million times, just like any movie that I'm like, something's not gelling. Like, how would this be fixed? But my rule is that I have to keep all the same characters. I can't, like, cut out any, like, threads necessarily.
Yeah.
And honestly, I thought about this for a long time when I was watching Spider-Man 3. The only way I could think to make it work is to split it into two movies and have Sandman be the main villain of 3, but you introduce the black suit in 3 somehow.
Right.
And then he either realizes by the end of 3, he has to get rid of it, and it gets to Eddie by the end of 3, and then 4 is all Venom, or that happens in the beginning of 4 or something,
Well, that would be it. Like,
it would be
introduce the black suit, have him using the black suit through most of the movie, do whatever.
Yeah.
Have him realize the symbiote and, like, that it's not working and whatever, and and sending him down the wrong path. By the end of the movie, he uses it to finish off Marco. Then sends it on its merry way, and it finds Eddie in a post-credit scene.
Exactly. The post-credit scene is Eddie getting the symbiote, or we find out that he found it or something, or, whatever. I think that's the only way that it would have worked, because it does all that. It, like, literally does everything that you just said, but it does it in one film, and also has, like, a romantic subplot where maybe Mary Jane is more interested in Harry all of a sudden out of nowhere. Maybe Peter is gonna be with this Gwen person, but also Eddie Brock is dating Gwen Stacy at the same time. So there's like whoa,
right?
Like,
and then Harry is also Hobgoblin. Like, What?
Yeah, and then he's got amnesia for like just half the movie. It's like, I get that you needed a reason for him not to be just trying to kill Peter the whole movie, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe make him try to kill Peter the whole movie. I don't know. Like, it's just not interesting. It's just convenient and uninteresting, and I don't know. I feel like, honestly though, some of the best acting moments of these actors, like really for Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, and James Franco, they all have amazing moments in Spider-Man 3 as actors. And it makes me think that they didn't know what a mess the movie was going to be, because they are dedicated. They're not phoning it in. They're like, this is going to be the last one, and blam. But I don't know. They should have signed a deal for, I feel like when the studio started pressuring Sam Raimi, he should have said, give me 3 and I'll put him in 4.
Yeah.
And let's make that deal. But
now,
anyway.
One thing I just completely, as a Spider-Man fan, never put 2 and 2 together. Flint Marko, Sandman, Kane Marko, Juggernaut, not related.
Wow, somebody should make them related.
I don't know how you have 2 Markos as supervillains in the Marvel universe, and
aren't there more Markos? Doesn't Juggernaut have like a more of an extended family? I know he's related to Professor X, but not.
Yeah, he's like a half brother of Professor X or something. Yeah.
I thought he had somebody else. Maybe I don't remember.
Might.
Somebody, dude. Hey, Marvel, write that thread. Make that happen.
Seriously.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. I guess. Why would it be interesting? Because Juggernaut can't hurt the Sandman, I guess.
Yeah,
It'd be cool
and
to see him
I mean, it's not like they've ever rewritten a character's history before.
Yeah, exactly. And it's right there. It's staring you in the face. Sandman, Juggernaut, team up. It's the book that everybody's asking for as of right now.
The book that at least 2 people are asking for.
Yeah. Anyway, Sam Raimi hasn't directed a movie in a long time. He hasn't directed a movie since Oz the Great and Powerful, I don't think. I think he came out in like 2010 or something. It's been a long time.
Also was a James Franco joint, I believe?
Also had James Franco in it, yeah. And was, I don't think, great. I remember seeing it and thinking, this is an underwhelming sequel to arguably one of the greatest movies ever made, The Wizard of Oz. So I'm very interested. I mean, he's done TV. He has done episodes of Ash vs. Evil Dead, and which are great because that's right in his wheelhouse. And I think he's a great director. Obviously, he's a really good writer. He's a good storyteller. And I think him plus the Marvel machine will make a good movie.
Well, and random fact that I actually figured out from listening to another podcast, Feige was actually an executive producer on the Spider-Man movies, or at least some of them, and the X movies.
Yeah. Yep. He worked on all that stuff when he was coming up, and it shows. He's got a passion for it, clearly. So if only every studio had somebody so passionate about their stuff as Kevin Feige. Looking at you, Warner Brothers. Find that person, please.
Well, they have to have an F, because you have Feige, you have Filoni, you have Favreau.
Wow.
They need to find someone with an F.
Think about that. I literally can't think of one person with an F last name. Not even as a joke. I can't think of one person with an F last name.
Oh, God.
Dr. Frankenfurter is the first person I thought of from Rocky Horror Picture Show. That'd be great.
Eddie Frock? Nope. Eddie Brock. Exactly. Oh, that's who it is.
Speaking of Eddie Brock, we are about to talk about a spoiler for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. How long do you think we're going to talk about this, Steve? Give us 5 minutes?
Yeah, let's go 5.
Okay, for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to give you a countdown. Listeners who don't want to hear this spoiler, skip ahead on your podcast app 5 minutes, okay? We're going to talk about it in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so in the mid-credit scene of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, apparently Eddie Brock is transported into the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the scene where, at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, Far From Home, where he witnesses the post-credit scene of that movie, where J. Jonah Jameson appears on a screen in Times Square and announces to the world that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. To me, this clearly indicates that he is going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home. Steve, your thoughts?
Yeah, and apparently it was him and Cletus Cassidy. So
really, okay.
Yeah.
I just thought it was
okay. So to me it leans one way or the other. Either they're both going to be in No Way, or one or the other is going to be in No Way Home, or that signals what you have hoped for the rest of time, that Tom Holland's Spider-Man will end up in the Venom movies. But either way, the multiverse is confirmed, and Sony and Marvel are playing nice in the sandbox, it seems.
Yeah, seemingly that's one of them, both of them will be part of this rumored Sinister Six that's going to happen in No Way Home. But again, who knows? That maybe it would be insane if they did this and he just never showed up again, or didn't show up until Venom 3. It just seems odd. It's actually strange because I actually read a tweet this past week, basically saying, I don't remember who it was from, but it's basically saying, like, at this point, I don't even need Spider-Man to interact with Venom. This version of Venom has nothing to do with Spider-Man. It would be weird and wouldn't even make sense for them to be mad at each other, for them to fight each other anymore. And I kind of really agreed with that when I saw that. I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is its own thing, and if this never happens, fine. But apparently now it's happening, so now I don't know how to feel about it, I guess. Like, do I really care? Like, because the only reason I really wanted Venom to fight Spider-Man is the history that I know between Venom and Spider-Man, and they don't have that, and they won't have that in this cinematic meeting. So, like, will I really care? Is it like, visually, it'll look cool, but, like, character-wise, how are they going to make me care about Peter Parker fighting Eddie Brock? I don't think that I'm going to. They would have to jump through some massive hoops to make me care about that.
Well, and the way, from other spoilers I've gathered about this movie, there's a point where Venom / Eddie / Tom Hardy says, actually literally quotes Lethal Protector. Like, Venom at one point screams, "We're the Lethal Protector," or something like that.
Wow.
So it's like, you're not leaving anything to the imagination. You're beating it over the head that this is good Venom. Like,
yeah, I know.
Bad Venom is out the door, and
yeah,
he's full-blown anti-hero. So, like, if that's gonna happen, and then hopefully, like, for all intents and purposes, I hope we don't shift to him being one of the six, because we only have, I think, four known of the Sinister Six.
Yeah. Yeah, but then I don't know. I'm of two minds about it, because I understand, like, it won't make sense for them to be immediate enemies, but also, like, I don't want to see another meeting of. I guess I don't care if they're friends at the same time. I don't know.
Right.
Like, I'm a 90s kid. You're a 90s kid. I like Venom as a bad guy more than I like him as an anti-hero. And I know he was so popular. They were like, we got to turn him into an anti-hero because people love him. But I don't know. Like, I'd rather see him be a villain than a good guy. And clearly they're going down the road of good guy because they had to make movies about just him without Spider-Man. So
Right.
had to kind of walk this line. And I don't know. Like, I feel like I won't care if he's not an adversary, but I also won't care because there won't be that relationship there. So I don't know. I just don't know how I'm going to react to this movie at all at this point. I mean, in that movie being Spider-Man No Way Home, I do not know how I'm going to feel about it. If I'm going to love it, hate it, or just be like, yeah, whatever. It was a insane CGI fest of whatever.
Things can be two
40
things.
seconds.
Things can be two things. We can love it, we can hate it, we can be confused by it. As long as it fits, or as long as it feels right, I'm cool with it.
My prediction is that I'm gonna think that it looks great. Other than that, I don't know what I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna be like, hey, looks cool. Looks cool. All these characters that I've seen before doing things that don't make sense. Yeah, looks cool.
There you go.
Know. You got 15 seconds left. Do you got anything you want to say?
Nope.
I saw a clip that Venom goes to a rave and dances in this movie, which seems insane.
Did see that too. So
4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we are done talking about spoilers for Venom. Thanks for those who stuck with us. Thanks for those who jumped ahead 5 minutes. What we will say that's not a spoiler about Venom Let There Be Carnage is that it opened huge with $90.1 million this weekend. That is a record for the movies coming out during the pandemic. It beats Black Widow. It beats Shang-Chi. We'll see if James Bond comes out next week, No Time to Die. We'll see if it can hold up against that. Probably not. I'm really surprised that many people went to see this movie at this time during the pandemic. I gotta say, I know the first one was a huge hit, but I guess I didn't think that many. I guess I thought because like the first one made a ton of money, but it also had like such mixed reactions that I assumed that a lot of people that thought they were going to like the first one wouldn't go see the second one. Excuse me. Apparently, I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, I don't know. In all honesty, I would have gone to see it if it wasn't for the pandemic, solely because I haven't seen a movie in that long. But normally, like the original Venom, like my group I normally go with, and that wouldn't like we didn't go see the original Venom because it looked like Venom.
Yeah, I was hearing such mixed things that I didn't go, and then by the time I saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, I know this isn't going to be what I want.
I mean, to be fair, I did see a couple of the really bad X-Men movies in the theater opening night too. So.
Oh yeah, Steve, I've seen every X-Men movie in the theater.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I think I slept through. I think I slept through Apocalypse. So.
Oof. I wish I slept through at least 60% of it. So there's some cool stuff in that.
There was
like I just said during the spoiler, there's some cool looking stuff.
Yeah, and Oscar Isaac was completely wasted, but here we go.
Oh, so wasted, my God. Anyway,
also, thinking about this, October 2021, we have a lot of movies coming up. We got No Time to Die next week, Dune on the 22nd, and then into Eternals on November 5th. Clifford the Big Red Dog on November 10th, if you want. Ghostbusters Afterlife on November 19th.
I keep forgetting about Ghostbusters coming out. Oh my God.
There's a new Resident Evil movie coming out? I did not know that, and I don't know if I wanted to. Another West Side Story, because we needed that. And then No Way Home. And then Matrix Resurrections and The Kingsman on the same day, because that makes sense. That's right.
Wow, all three of those on the same day. Plus, we got Hawkeye and Book of Boba Fett coming out also before the end of the year. So
and then probably Ms. Marvel right after.
Yeah, you're right. Lots of stuff happening. Lots of
Morbius is still January 22 until that gets pushed inevitably, because they always get pushed.
Well, I don't know. We talked about recently. January's usually looked at as a dumping ground of movies because not a lot of people go to the movies in January, and
that would be a movie to dump, I'm assuming.
Maybe it's not that great. I don't know. We'll have to see. Reviews and reactions for Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Basically, everything I've said is along the lines of, if you didn't like the first one, you're not going to like this one. Because it goes even further into the campy, comedic relationship that he has with the symbiote. It's not, has nothing to do with Spider-Man, has nothing to do with the things that the fans of the 90s Todd McFarlane version of Venom will like. So that's basically it. If you didn't like seeing Tom Hardy jump into a lobster tank in the first one, then you're not going to like the stuff that he does in this one either.
Yeah, this is not Donny Cates' Venom.
Yeah, nope. And certainly not Todd McFarlane's Venom.
Definitely
not. Moving into some comic book talk. We don't have a Kickstarter call out this week, but the one that we did last week, New Rat City, that got funded. So hooray!
Yay.
Hooray for that team, for New Rat City. Thank you for giving it. I'm sure it's all up to us. I'm sure that we were the deciding factor in that. Our legions of fans went out and pledged all their money. I'm sure that's what happened.
Totally.
We have legions of fans, don't we, Steve?
How big's a legion?
At least 3.
Perfect. Sold.
Okay.
So yeah, congrats to Honor Vincent and the team. Nice work on getting funded, and we're looking forward to reading it when it comes out. So yeah, we'll be up to date.
Absolutely. But in some other comics news, we got a cool animated trailer for the relaunched Black Panther series from Marvel. It's written by John Ridley with artist Juan. Whoa, my microphone just shifted and made a weird squeaky sound. Sorry about that, listeners.
It's the remix. It's fine.
Yeah. Written by John Ridley with artist Juan Cabal. The trailer, it's like a minute long. It's got some panels from the book that show Black Panther like doing things in Wakanda, also fighting some kind of like humanoid alien looking invasion and assisting the Avengers with some stuff. The tagline or the words that are on the screen throughout the trailer pieced together, it says, What secrets has T'Challa kept from his own nation? When you engage in deception, even your allies can become enemies, and loyal soldiers turn bitter foes. The truth will be revealed. The nation will be devastated. New run on Black Panther starts in November. Steve, have you seen this trailer? Looks pretty great.
I have not, but I'll probably end up pulling it just because. Black Panther's always a good run.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems. Go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, tragically, I have never really read much Black Panther because I didn't get into him when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I knew nothing about the character at all, other than I looked at him on a comic or a trading card or something. I didn't know that he was an African king. I didn't know anything about his backstory. I looked at the character and I thought, oh, that's just a Batman knockoff. I don't care about that because I'm reading Batman because, you know, he's all black. He's got pointy ears.
Right.
Whatever. Clearly, I was very wrong about that. But you know,
you missed
when
a memo
I'm
in there?
7. Yeah, well, I'm 7 and I see 2 black-clad heroes with pointy ears. I'm like, well, whatever. This is just a Batman ripoff. Clearly couldn't be farther away from Batman, really. So then for years, it was forever before, you know, and again, we've talked about before, I'm a DC guy, and I've been one since I was a kid, so
Yep.
it was forever before I really learned, like, oh, he's an African king, that's pretty cool. But then then I was kind of more set in my comic reading ways. So I thought this looked great, and I am interested in, especially after now being familiar with the character, the idea that he would keep secrets from the people of Wakanda, I think, is interesting, and I'm very curious to what those secrets are and what kind of effect they will have on, you know, his place in the world, his place with the country, his place with the Avengers, and all that kind of stuff. It seems like they're teasing some big shakeups in the world of Black Panther and Marvel in general. So
yeah, and I don't know. I think this is this the first main Black Panther run since the Coates run? I don't know if they had another one in between, but like that Coates run, if you get a chance, go back and read that. That was a really solid run.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but incredible things about it. It's enough that Warner Brothers decided to hire him for a Superman movie.
Right.
So, yeah,
and his take on the Cap was pretty good too. So,
yeah, I heard really great stuff about his Captain America run as well. So that would be a great read for sure.
There you go.
Moving from Marvel Comics to DC Comics, there's a really cool Entertainment Weekly feature on the upcoming Human Target series from renowned author Tom King and artist Greg Smallwood. Tom King, one of the most successful and most popular and greatest, I could say, all around writers in comics right now. Writer of Mr. Miracle, writer of Vision, Marvel The Vision. 2 absolutely landmark books. Human Target, we talked about when they announced this book. I remember we talked about it on this show. Human Target is about a character named Christopher Chance, who is a bodyguard who assumes his clients' identities and lets the hired assassins try to kill him instead of his client. So he's always kind of like assuming the life of another person and trying to get, hit people to target him instead of other people. Human Target. And the art from this book looks incredible. It's really kind of like a throwback, kind of 60s retro-y style. Greg Smallwood's doing some really great work. It's been confirmed that it deals with the characters of the Justice League International, which was a very famous run in the 80s of a certain team of Justice League. It wasn't all the normal heavy hitters. Batman was on it, but then the rest of the team was rounded out by Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Guy Gardner was the Green Lantern. I think Martian Manhunter was a part of it, and then also Fire and Ice were on it as well. Really great run that I haven't read all of, but a lot of those characters are great. And Mr. Miracle, I think, was also on that team as well. So anyway, Tom King had this cool thing to say about the book. He said, the book has this pitch where the guy discovers he's going to die right in the very beginning of the book. At the moment when I was writing, we were in max COVID lockdown. Since I'd been in the war, and Tom King is a veteran and former CIA operative, he said, since I'd been in the war, it sounds stupid, I haven't felt that close to death. There are moments in your life like 9/11, being in the war, COVID, even when your kids are born, that you're close to that curtain between life and death, and there's a certain fear and adrenaline that makes you reassess your life. So that's what this book became about. What does it mean to live when you know you're dying, and how do you reconcile? What do you become obsessed with, and how do you occupy yourself? What makes life worth living? Wow.
That's heavy.
Yes, it's super heavy. And that description to me tells me that this is going to be like a Mr. Miracle level book, I think. Like, I think Tom King is a great writer. And I think when he really locks into something and he's given free reign to do something, and there's no time constraints as far as like when he was on his Batman run is great. He does fumble the ball a couple times during his Batman run, in my opinion. And I think that was because it had to be like a bi-weekly thing, and there was like deadlines, and he also got taken off it because he was working on a movie for a while that ended up not happening. But anyway, there was stuff going on with his Batman run. But you give him the freedom to do something like The Vision, like Mr. Miracle, like Strange Adventures that he's just wrapping up. This current Adam Strange book has, in my opinion, some of his top tier work, right up there with Mr. Miracle.
Dude, Mr. Miracle made my brain hurt to read.
Yeah,
like,
I know. It's so
I was
good.
on edge half the time I was reading that book, and it was great.
Yeah, it's so good. I've read it a few times, and it's just gets better. It's so good. I recently revisited Vision as well, which is also an incredible work.
Right behind you, if I can see by the words right.
Yep, right there. And anyway, I don't know. A quote like this makes me think that he's got there's going to be real depth in this book. There's going to be some real challenging stuff. I don't know, and I can't wait for it. I'm very, very excited about it. It comes out pretty soon. I think it comes out maybe next month or before the end of the year. I think it starts hitting stands.
Nice.
So super cool. Love Tom King. He's also got a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow book that's on the shelves right now that's also very interesting.
Nice.
And some amazing art. So check that out, all you Tom King fans out there. And again, sorry, just real quick plug. Strange Adventures is great. Whenever, especially for you, Steve, when that comes out in a trade, you got to get it. I know you're not familiar with the character. You don't need to be. It is great. It's great, and there's like a twist towards the end that really pulls the rug out. That oh man, it's
perfect.
Wow, it's like a punch in the gut. Oh, it's great. This week in comics, we got Batman 114, DC's Halloween special. Great title. Are You Afraid of Darkseid? Great. The play on Are You Afraid of the Dark, the Nickelodeon show. It's got like the cover's got the Teen Titans around a campfire.
Oh, really?
Hilarious. Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah. Chicken Devil #1 was a book I've been reading about online for a while. It's an indie. It from everything that I've seen, it's just as insane as the title makes it sound.
Perfect.
Chicken Devil #1 comes out this week. DC Horror presents Soul Plumber #1. It's a book that we talked about a few weeks ago when that was announced. James Tynion IV's Nice House on the Lake #5. Ram V's Swamp Thing #8, and Wonder Woman 80th Anniversary 100-page spectacular. I love DC's been doing these 80th anniversary spectaculars for their characters. And it's Wonder Woman's turn, so I am pumped about that. Not a ton of Marvel books this week. I was looking at the list, and maybe it was the store that sends me the list, but I went over it a few times. I was like, wow, there's not a whole lot of Marvel stuff coming out this week. Must be just a weird scheduling kind of thing.
Seems like a pretty light week all around. Like I don't even think I have let's elaborate on that. I don't have a book that's being pulled because Nice House on the Lake, they pulled the first issue for it, and then 2, 3, 4 didn't get pulled. So now I'm waiting for trade. But yeah, I must have forgotten to update it on my pull list because they do all theirs online. So I can just update it online. Yeah. It's nice, but I must have completely, spaced on that. That said, they were able to pick up 1 through 4 of the last round of miniseries for TMNT for me. So.
Oh, nice! Yeah, we were just talking about that. Oh, cool. Yep. Let me know how that is when you get to it.
Yeah. Well, in all honesty, I'll have all 6. So when I'm done with it, I'll just drop it on your doorstep.
Perfect. Sounds good. I'll put it on top of my pile.
Yeah.
All right. Moving into some one-shots, some stories that we wanted to mention, but didn't necessarily want to spend 10 minutes talking about each. 10 or more plus minutes, as Steve and I clearly like to ramble.
No.
We're going to go through some one-shots right now. First up, Marvel executive Victoria Alonso says there are currently 31 Marvel movie and TV projects in development. 31. That is a lot.
Yes, that's a lot of a lot. Speaking of a lot going on, Disney World sets a release date of March 22 for the opening of Galactic Star Cruiser Star Wars Hotel and Experience. If you have more money than God, you can go hang out in a Star Cruiser.
We also got a first look at Jamila Jamil's hairstyle and hair color for her role as Titania in She-Hulk. Also a picture of Mark Ruffalo in a mocap suit with her stunt double. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second, I guess, too.
Umbrella Academy is the successful Netflix series, has now set 2022 release dates for season 3. So, yeah.
Right.
They had a short animated teaser, and that was about it. So.
Yep. And lastly here, James Gunn, director of the most recent and most excellent The Suicide Squad movie and the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, claims to be introducing... Oh, sorry, I guess I should preface this by saying, for those of you who don't know, he is also, at the same time as making Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, he's also making a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special for Disney Plus that's going to be it's going to be launched on December 22, 2022. And he claims to be introducing, quote, one of the greatest MCU characters of all time in the holiday special. Not sure if that's sarcasm or seriousness. We will find out, I guess. I wish it was coming out this year, but it's not. It's coming out. I have to wait a whole nother year, over a year, which is a super bummer. And I guess, like, yeah, you spent so much time making the Suicide Squad the masterpiece superhero movie that it is. Fine, great. We got that movie. I can wait another year for the holiday special, but I kind of really wish it was this year. I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like I need a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special this year.
All that while he's working on casting and, setting up Guardians 3 too, so.
Yeah, for sure. So do you think, while we're talking about this, let's stay on this before we go back to some of the other ones. Do you think that he's being serious or do you think he's making a joke? There's nothing to base that guess on at all. Like zero information to go with.
Dare I say, because of a history with Deadpool, that he may be talking about the Fat Man himself, the jolly old Saint Nicholas.
That's right. That's right. Santa Claus is a Marvel Comics character.
He is technically in Marvel continuity.
Not originally.
616 has a Santa Claus.
It's true.
Yeah,
that could be cool. Did you read that Deadpool that came out like a couple years ago where Santa didn't bring presents one year, so that, all the kids of the world hired Deadpool to go kill him?
No, but I need to.
Great. Oh, dude, it's wicked funny. Like all these mad kids hired Deadpool to go assassinate Santa because they didn't get any presents.
Yep.
Such a funny idea. I don't know. I mean, when I saw this online, people were saying like, oh, they teased Adam Strange at the end of, Adam Warlock at the end of Guardians 2. So maybe he's going to be in the holiday special.
They teased Howard Howard the Duck was in it too.
Yeah, I know. And James Gunn also likes a lot of D-list comic book characters are his favorites. So, what he thinks is one of the greatest MCU characters of all time, he could be dead serious about it, and everyone else will be like, yeah, so what? It's Howard the Duck or whatever,
right.
So that'll be interesting. And again, I wish it was coming out this year, but it's not. Stick with Marvel real quick. 31 movie and TV things in production right now.
It's a big number.
I guess we know like a good chunk of them, I guess, because they announced things so far in advance. Like we know the Disney Plus stuff they're working on. We know the movies that I'm assuming this includes things they've already announced, like Thor: Love and Thunder that's just not out yet, but it's still in development. It's still in some stage of production or whatever, So, Steve, I usually roll my eyes hard when I see an article or hear somebody say this, but people like to say, or critics like to say, superhero movies will go the way of the Western, quote unquote, is like the thing you hear all the time, like because Westerns used to be so popular in like, decades ago in the 50s and 60s, and now they hardly ever make westerns anymore because people got sick of them. And I feel like people that don't like superhero movies love saying they're just a fad, they're going to go away, they're going to go the way of the western, blah 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 blah.
Yep.
So I always roll my eyes when I hear people say that, because I love these movies. I want to watch nothing but comic book adaptations for the rest of my life. Not nothing, but if I get sick of them, I just take a break, but then I'll go back and catch up or whatever. But do you think it's possible that I don't think that everyone's going to stop liking superhero movies, but I think it is possible that people will fall off, the next generation of kids growing up may not be as into them as their parents. Classic kids not caring about things that their parents care about. Like, that happens. Is there a possibility, just playing devil's advocate, is there a possibility that some of these 31 projects either get canceled because people are done with it or just don't do as well? Like, do you see that ever happening? Do you see like any of these 31 projects being like in jeopardy of success?
Yeah, I mean, there has to be an end game somewhere, beyond the one that we already saw. But the 31, you're probably also talking like they just dropped the new Spider-Man animated series for kids and stuff like that.
Dude.
So
yes, thank you for bringing that up. I did want to talk about that with you, but sorry, yes.
I've been poking Sebastian. He's still on a Bluey kick, so I'm poking him to like, hey, let's go watch Spidey.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, you're when they say 31, they're probably talking everything from that to, anywhere from that to Love and Thunder to Fantastic Four to, hell, it may even be they already know they're going to greenlight, 3 X-Men movies or something like that.
Yeah, and they're talking about probably documentaries and stuff for Disney Plus, like behind the scenes, all that stuff probably counts.
Yeah,
too,
when we have announced stuff where if we started rattling off announced stuff, we're probably close to 20 as it is. So
yeah, you're probably right. It's
there's a Moon Knight series, for God's sakes.
Yeah, that's true.
Which the new run of Moon Knight actually is really good. So.
Oh, good. It should be, because there's about to be a show based on it that a lot of people are going to watch and hopefully go back to the trades. Remember we had that story a couple weeks ago where apparently nobody's buying Marvel trades or collected
weird
book. Go buy some of those things. God, come on.
I do.
Yeah. Anyway, so do I. But yeah, it's just interesting to me. Like, I feel like at some point, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not going to happen, because I'm always going to be interested in these movies.
Right.
But I can't guarantee that everybody else is, and I guess I'm saying that because I remember a time when I was the only person that I knew that wanted an X-Men movie or wanted a Spider-Man movie or knew who the X-Men were, or knew who the Avengers were, for God's sakes. So I feel like there's always part of me that's like, this is going to go away someday. And it's going to go back to the before times, and I'm going to be alone in my nerddom. And I don't think it'll ever go back that far, but I can see a future where these are not quite as popular as they are now. But
yeah, they're not.
Thankfully, I think it's going to be quite a long time before that's the case.
Yeah, they're not going to fully go the way of the buffalo, but there may be a waning in the waning in the fandom at some point.
Yeah, I agree. For real. Thanks for bringing up that Spidey cartoon. I meant to put it on the rundown this week, because you and I talk about, we've mentioned a few times, why aren't Marvel and DC making adaptations of these characters that are aimed directly at young children, 4 to 6 year old children? And Disney Plus or Disney Junior, whatever, Marvel dropped a show called Spidey and His Amazing Friends that is a Paw Patrol level Spider-Man adventure series, and my son has watched a few episodes of it and loves it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, of course he does, because it's for him, and it's a character that he likes,
right?
But
And
can't absorb any of the media that's out there.
Exactly. And it's Peter, it's Miles, and it's Gwen, like Spider-Gwen.
And it's Gwen.
And they, they're going out and saving the world and teaming up with whoever, and it's geared to that.
Yeah, and then there's also
Yeah,
and there's always a team up story where there's Black Panther or there's Hulk or there's Miss Marvel and stuff. So it's
it's almost a continuation of the old, almost a continuation of the the Spider-Man Adventures or whatever it was that was the shorts they did. Like it's the spiritual successor to that. So
yes, I agree. Yeah. More of that, giant corporations. More for young kids. If you want them to grow up loving your characters and giving you their teenage money by the time they get there,
right.
gotta hook them while they're young. I'm excited about Umbrella Academy Season 3. It seems like they are hinting even more at covering the Hotel Oblivion story arc from the books. I'm excited about that. I don't know if Gerard Way is working on a new volume of Umbrella Academy, but we may get into like a Game of Thrones situation where if he's not, then the show might run out of source material before.
That Game of Thrones situation. Okay, I thought you meant the other Game of Thrones situations. That can be an umbrella term.
That's true. Yeah, an Umbrella Academy term. So I'm excited for that. I like that series. That's an example of a series where it is pretty different from the books, but done in a way that serves the medium, I think. Like I really like the Umbrella Academy books. I also really like the Netflix show, and they're very different. So, similar to Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth is very dark in comic book form, and then very heartwarming in PG-13 in a Netflix form, and they're both great. They both work for the different mediums that they're adapted to. Last thing, I don't know if you got anything else to say. Last thing I want to say is that, I mean, I'm not a millionaire, so I can't go to the Star Wars hotel anytime soon. But I'm mad because when I first heard that they were opening a Star Wars hotel, that it was like a 2-day experience, I was like, oh man, I'm going to go there for my 40th birthday. And guess what? My 40th birthday is in March 2022. And guess what's open in March 2022? The damn Galactic Star Cruiser. So it would have been perfect timing if you weren't charging $6,000 for a room, Disney.
Yep.
God.
Absolutely.
Come on. Come on. It's too much money.
It would have been perfect. Like we knock on something would be coming out of a global pandemic, which we thought last year was going to happen around March anyways. But
yes, honestly, really, by this time last year, I was like, it's going to be perfect because by then the pandemic will be over and this hotel will be open and I'll be able to go for my birthday. Guess what? Especially in Florida, pandemic's not over. It's not over anywhere, but it's definitely not over in Florida. And no way, just regardless of the price, no way I'm going near Florida right now. Sorry, Floridians. Sorry, but
for your governor's
not getting it done. Yeah, your governor's not getting it done, guys. Sorry to get. It's not political. Maybe it is, and if it is, I don't care. Your governor's not getting it done. Figure it out, Florida. Because I want to go to you. That's why. If you are listening in Florida and you're mad that I just said that, it's only because I want to be with you, Florida. I want to be down there. I want to be with you, and I can't because of your governor.
Crazy.
Anyway, that's all I got. I kind of went off on a little thing there, but
that happens to the best.
Unless you got anything else, Steve. Yeah, I know it does, and that is all I have for this episode of the Multiverse Report. Unless you got something else, Steve.
No, I'd say that's about it. If you guys are watching on Twitch, feel free to click the follow button below. If you pick this up on YouTube tomorrow, like, subscribe, get notified when we're going live or uploading a video, since we don't do live there anymore. Otherwise, check us out in your podcatcher of choice, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify. Please rate, review, subscribe on any of those. Specifically, Apple helps the algorithm out. Also, if you want to get hold of us, themultiverseport@gmail.com, at multiverserpt on Twitter, the Multiverse Report on Facebook and or Instagram. Other than that, I think that nails it.
I think it does. So, all right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time in the multiverse.